Welcome to ForexTV.com. Today is Thursday, April 24th. I'm Remy Hokie for New York Forex Market Buzz. In afternoon trade as of 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Euro-dollar is at 1.5656. Sterling is trading at 1.9709, while dollar-yen is around 1.0440. U.S. equities are seeing strength with the major indexes up in positive territory. Earlier today, Wall Street was lower on the heels of the latest new home sales data. March sales fell 8.5% to a seasonally adjusted annual pace of 526,000 units. The figure was the weakest since October of '91. And the median price of a home sold tumbled by 13.3% year over year. In other U.S. data, durable goods for March fell 0.3% but rose 1.5% ex transportation. And U.S. initial jobless claims for the latest week unexpectedly fell by 33,000 to 342,000. Meanwhile, continuing claims fell 65,000 to a total of 2.93 million. This afternoon, I'm joined by Omer Esiner, Senior Market Analyst at Ruesch International. Good afternoon, Omer.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're seeing broad U.S. dollar strength in today's session, with euro-dollar staging a major pullback after breaching 160 in Tuesday's session, and the euro weakened on the latest IFO data, with the pair falling to 1.5638 earlier, and that was a downward move of over 250 pips just today. So fundamentally and technically, going forward, what's your outlook for euro-dollar?
Well, I think a lot of it's going to depend on the upcoming data out of the Eurozone. We've seen the euro come off rather sharply over the last couple of days. As you mentioned, overnight we had that disappointing IFO survey out of Germany. The previous session we had disappointing manufacturing sector data out of the Eurozone. So I think the combination of the two data reports over the last couple of days suggests that the Europe's economies are slowing under the pressure of course, the strong euro, slowing global growth, high energy prices, and I think it suggests that the Eurozone economy may not be immune, at least not to the extent that we thought, from slower growth in both the U.S. and the UK. So I think if you extrapolate that a little bit, it suggests that rates could come down in the Eurozone probably in the second half of this year. And that's eroding some of the euro's appeal recently. So I think, again, going forward, it's going to depend a lot on the data out of Europe. If the upcoming numbers reinforce this view that Europe's economy is slowing at a faster pace, that could bring in the timeline of a potential rate cut by the ECB, and I think that would eventually lead to a lower euro against the dollar and in its other crosses.
Okay, and let's take a quick look at the Kiwi dollar as well as the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar is lower after yesterday's advance above 95, and also after the RBNZ announcement, the softening in the central bank's position led to weakness for the Kiwi dollar. So going forward, what is your forecast for these dollar block currencies?
Well, I think these currencies are, of course, going to take their cue from some of the commodity prices, and that's what we're seeing here. The dollar is pretty much across the board here, so it's no surprise that we're seeing the dollar gain against the Aussie and the Kiwi as well. As you mentioned, the Kiwi announcement from the Reserve Bank overnight also weighing on the New Zealand dollar, but commodity prices are broadly lower as well. Gold well below $900 here, so I think that's prompting a little bit more profit-taking in the group. Going forward, I think, again, if commodity prices do well, these currencies will be underpinned for the most part. I think if commodity prices continue to come off, then we'll see these currencies trade lower, again, both against the dollar and in their other crosses.
Okay, and let's take a quick look at the UK pound against both the euro and the US currency. The UK pound has been under pressure this week, and also after yesterday's release of the BOC MPC minutes, which did come as a surprise. So if you could give us your near-term forecast for the UK pound against both the euro and the US dollar.
Well, I think the British pound will probably be biased to the downside, especially so against the euro, but against the dollar as well. We did see some disappointing data out of the UK yesterday in the form of mortgage lending data out of the Bank of England, which was pretty disappointing. So their housing market's cooling rapidly. The retail sales held up reasonably well overnight out of the UK, but still I think consumer spending is going to be under pressure going forward. So I think all that suggests lower lending rates from the Bank of England. I think that puts in a near to medium-term target of about $1.95 in sterling against the U.S. dollar. Against the euro, the British pound pound will probably bias lower as well, and I think if we see more disappointing data out of the UK, we could probably see euro sterling test that 79 cent level.
Okay, and last but not least, before we wrap it up for today's interview, let's take a quick look at the yen. Dollar yen is back at 104.40 in afternoon trade, and earlier broke above 104.50. So what is your near-term forecast for the U.S. dollar against the yen, and also for euro yen?
Well, I think dollar yen will probably bias upwards. We've seen some solid earnings out of U.S. corporations over the last week or so, and that's reassuring, I think, to investors. Stocks have traded pretty well as well. The Dow is right now at its highest level since January 4th, I believe. So going forward, I think continued bullishness in U.S. stocks and towards the U.S. economy in general will support dollar yen. So I think near term 105 is definitely the next psychological level. After that, probably 105.40. And I think euro yen, that's a little bit trickier to call, but I think euro yen will probably bias upward as well.
Okay, Omar, thank you very much for insight and analysis, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been your Forex Market Buzz with Omar Esiner, Senior Market Analyst at Ruesch International. I'm Remy Hokie. Join us later this afternoon, 4 p.m. exchange, right here on ForexTV.com.